Hey guys, MJ Madness here, and the NHL playoffs are right around the corner, so today I'm going to be giving you my NHL playoff preview and predictions 2018. Basically, what I'm going to be doing in this video is running through my entire bracket from the first round all the way up to the Stanley Cup Final, and giving you my breakdown and analysis of every single matchup. So let's get started. Kicking things off in the Western Conference, up first we have the President's Trophy winning Nashville Predators up against the wildcard Colorado Avalanche, who didn't cement their spot in the playoffs until their last game of the season. And I don't think this matchup is going to be particularly close. The Nashville Predators are an absolute juggernaut. They are stacked on all aspects of their team, and while Nathan MacKinnon has been great for the Avalanche, they simply don't have enough depth around him to really give the Predators much of a fight. I'm taking Nashville in 5. Up next, we have the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Minnesota Wild. Winnipeg has really had an awesome season this year. Their prospects have really showed up, and they finally got some solid goaltending in the form of Connor Hellebuyck stepping up. But they definitely do have an interesting matchup against the Minnesota Wild. The Wild are a very solid team, very well coached, and they're always a tough out in the playoffs. And I definitely think they could give the inexperienced Winnipeg Jets some problems. But in the end, the Wild are dealing with many injuries on the back end, and I think Winnipeg pulls it out. I'm taking the Jets in 6. Moving over to the Pacific Division, up first we have the Vegas Golden Knights against the Los Angeles Kings. The Vegas Golden Knights have been the Cinderella story of this NHL season. Going into the year, nobody thought that they'd be a playoff team, much less the winners of the Pacific Division, but they've developed incredible chemistry, and a bunch of players have really stepped up and taken the leap, including William Karlsson, Eric Haula, and Jonathan Marchessault. In the end, they have had an absolutely incredible season, but they have a tricky matchup with the Los Angeles Kings. The Kings aren't no ordinary wildcard team. They've won 2 Stanley Cups in recent years, and they still have the core nucleus of that team. I think their new coach really has developed a faster system for them, and they definitely have all that it takes to give the Vegas Golden Knights a run for their money. They have a legitimate number 1 center in Anze Kopitar, they have a Norris-caliber defenseman in Drew Doughty, and finally, they have incredible goaltending in Jonathan Quick. This has all the makings of an upset, and I think the Kings, with their depth, experience, and high-end talent, will push Vegas to the edge. I think Vegas has had an incredible season, but I think that the magic runs out against the Kings. They simply don't have experience, and the Kings present one of the worst possible matchups for the Golden Knights. So I like the Kings to pull off the upset in 7 games. Finishing off the Western Conference, we have the Anaheim Ducks taking on the San Jose Sharks. This is another series that I think is going to go down to the wire. There is clearly no love lost between these two Pacific Division rivals, and I predict that we'll be getting a tough, hard-fought series that's going to go to 7 games. It definitely was tough, and I could see either team coming out on top, but in the end, I'm going to go with the San Jose Sharks. I think they have more depth, I like their coaching better, and I think they're going to squeak by the Anaheim Ducks in the first round. Moving on over to the Eastern Conference, up first we have the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the New Jersey Devils. Not many people thought the Devils would be in the playoff mix going into this season, but Taylor Hall has absolutely put that team on his back and put together an MVP caliber season. But as good as Taylor Hall has been, the way I see this series, the Devils have 1 superstar, and the Lightning have at least 4 in Kucherov, Stamkos, Hedman, and Vasilevsky. So I don't think the Devils should give the Lightning much trouble. I'm taking Tampa Bay in 5. Next up, we have the Boston Bruins taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. This should be a very fun series between 2 quick, young, and fast-paced teams. I think both of these teams definitely have the potential to become contenders for years to come in the Eastern Conference, but for this year, I just think the Bruins have more playoff experience, and I think in the end that'll give them the edge. I'm taking Boston in 6. Next, we have the Washington Capitals taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, I know the Caps are the 1 seed and the Jackets are the wild card, but I'm really a fan of this Columbus team. They've really been hot over the past month, and I definitely think they'll give the Caps a run for their money. In the end, I think the Capitals won't be able to get rid of their playoff demons, and I'm taking the upset. I think the Jackets are going to knock off the Capitals in 7 games. And finally, wrapping up the first round, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. This series should be fun. These two teams absolutely hate each other, and I predict they will be going all out on the ice. But you can't bet against the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, so I gotta take the Pens in 6 games. Moving on to the second round, up first we have the Nashville Predators against the Winnipeg Jets. For my money, these are the two best teams in the Western Conference. They both have some incredibly skilled players, and they're just overall both elite teams. And it's definitely a shame we have to see them match up so early in the playoffs. I definitely think it's going to be a battle, but in the end, I just like the experience of Nashville. They've been all the way to the Cup Finals, and I think Winnipeg is just a little bit too young to knock off the Predators just yet. I'm taking Nashville in 7 games. Next, we have the Los Angeles Kings against the San Jose Sharks. These California rivals are both big body teams, so this series definitely will be a grind. I think the Sharks have more depth throughout all 4 lines, plus they have home ice advantage, so I'm taking San Jose in 6 games. Moving on to the east side of the bracket, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Boston Bruins. These were the top 2 teams in terms of points in the Eastern Conference, and I definitely think they match up very well. They both have elite top lines, solid goaltending, and some great defenders as well. They both have had some experience going on playoff runs, and I think they match up very well. I definitely see this series going the distance, and I think this will be one of the closest matchups we see throughout the playoffs. In the end, I think Tampa Bay is just a little bit better than Boston, so I think they'll take it in 7, but I definitely could see this series going either way. Wrapping up the second round, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. These two teams have matched up several times in recent years in the postseason, and for the majority of the time, Pittsburgh has had Columbus's number, and this year I don't think much is going to change. I know Columbus has been hot over the past month, but the Pens are a back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champion for a reason, and I think they'll dispose of Columbus pretty easily. I'm taking Pittsburgh in 5 games. In the Western Conference Finals, I'm predicting the Nashville Predators will take on the San Jose Sharks. This is the battle of the runner-ups, with both of these teams having lost in the Stanley Cup Final the past 2 years. But I may have spoiled it earlier when I said that Nashville and Winnipeg are, for my money, the 2 best teams in the Western Conference, and I think for Nashville, they should be able to take out the Sharks. This team is just so good. The President's Trophy winners are stacked from top to bottom, and while San Jose definitely is a tough out, I just think Nashville is too solid, too stacked, and I think they're going to be able to take out the Sharks in 6 games and advance back into the Stanley Cup Final. In the Eastern Conference Finals, I have the Tampa Bay Lightning up against the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Lightning are a very good team. They have Vezina-caliber goaltending in Andrei Vasilevsky, a Norris-caliber defenseman in Victor Hedman, and 2 of the league's top forwards in Steven Stamkos and Nikita Kucherov. But they're up against the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are looking for a three-peat and a rematch with the Nashville Predators in the Stanley Cup Finals. I think if the Penguins can win the Cup this year, they can officially be considered a dynasty, and they definitely have a huge chance. Not many teams can knock out the Pittsburgh Penguins in a 7-game series, but I'm taking a chance, and I think Tampa Bay is going to be a team that can knock the Pittsburgh Penguins out of the playoffs. It's definitely going to go down to the wire, but I like the Lightning here. I think this is their year. I think everything is going to come together for them, and I'm taking them to knock off the Pittsburgh Penguins in 7 games and advance to the Stanley Cup Final. So, my 2018 Stanley Cup Final prediction has the Nashville Predators representing the Western Conference and the Tampa Bay Lightning coming out of the East. Man, would this matchup be fun. These are 2 of the league's elite teams. Both of them have been here before, both having heartbreaking losses in the past few years in the Stanley Cup Final, and I think that's going to motivate them throughout the postseason. Both know what it feels like to be on the other end of that handshake line, and I think that's going to fuel them. That experience, they both have veteran players, and that is going to push them throughout the postseason. And I think that, in part, is going to be the reason that these teams make it to the Stanley Cup Final. They have that experience, they have that grit, they have the talent, and going up against each other will be a treat to watch. These 2 teams are, in my opinion, the league's best. top to bottom, there are star quality players everywhere, and they are so close. I would argue Tampa Bay probably has the edge on offense with Stamkos and Kucherov, but then on defense, in my opinion, Nashville has the best defense corps in the entire NHL, and both of them have incredible goaltending, so definitely it's going to be even, and I absolutely see this series going 7 games. But in the end, there's got to be a winner. So my prediction is that the Tampa Bay Lightning will be your 2018 Stanley Cup champions. I said the Tampa Bay Lightning at the beginning of the season, and I'm sticking with my gut. I know that the Nashville Predators will be the favorite in this matchup, but I like this Tampa team. I think this is the year they get over the hump, and I think in 7 games, they will be able to knock off the Nashville Predators and be your Stanley Cup champions. And my Conn Smythe prediction, I got to give it to Nikita Kucherov. He has been incredible all season long, and I think he's going to have an amazing postseason and keep on that hot streak. So that's going to do it for this video. Be sure to let me know down in the comments section below whether you agree or disagree with my predictions, and also let me know some of your predictions and who you think will be matching up in the Stanley Cup Final and who's going to win. Thank you guys for watching, and take care.